Is to bring in a guy like Bryson in early, and does he have a role, or is he gonna redshirt, or kind of, what, does he have a plan?
We have a plan. He's on redshirt. He's he's been nicked up from his surgery, so he'll be cleared, but really not to the point where he can really impact his high school season, probably in the manner in which he hoped he would his senior year. And the fact that he hadn't played, some McDonald's All-Americans, stuff like that means so much to these kids and families, which it should. But he's probably been put himself in a situation where that would be a lot more difficult to do if you're not competing. So get him here, and he'll be healthy hopefully by the time he arrives or soon after, and then he'll be more prepared to have an impact, I think, to start his freshman year, knowing he's going to be here a semester with us.
And obviously, I know the holidays are right around the corner. How much more enjoyable is it for you and your family and everything when you roll into the holidays with a win and you got some momentum?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've done it both ways. I think every school in America has. You don't win every game, but it's nice to go into Christmas with people feeling good about everything. And there's no guarantee that's going to happen with us. We still got to perform on Sunday against a good Brown team. But I do like the fact. The thing about it is, so much of it is scheduling. We used to play every game right before Christmas on the road, because that's the only way you can pay for the kids' trip home. This second half of the return, you use that against the money going home. Times the rules are so different now with the NIL, and kids have their own money, and the different things that schools allowed to do to be more student athlete friendly. Probably creates a situation where there's not as much of a need for that. You guys have been here a long time. Going to Reno to play in a tournament so the kids can get home free, that was a big deal. Because whatever the cost of the round trip, you can apply and different things. Well, you don't have those situations now, so the need to do that's probably not as great.
The Players Era was announced this morning. You've talked about needing these sorts of events to go toward rev share. Obviously this does that, but beyond that, just what made this such a good fit for you guys next year?
Well, first of all, speaking to coaches that participated this past year, first class all the way. Said for a first year, it could not have been pulled off any better based on what the coaches have told me and the experiences their players have had. I think there's still some things that obviously have to be worked out detail-wise, like exact formats, how many teams and all that stuff, but we know the financial backing is there, that this is going to be a big time deal, and we're thrilled to be a part of it. Times have changed, and they're going to continue to change, and scheduling will be done more and more with the thought of how does this benefit us from a revenue standpoint, not just from an experience standpoint. And with the players there, I think we're pretty fortunate we get to still experience both.
And then with Bryson, just what are the sort of specific things you can get a head start on by being here for an extra semester to make him better prepared next year?
How we do things, schemes, style, what our expectations are. Playing against Hunter and KJ and Flory every day will also be good for him. I think there's a lot of things that go into it. Probably getting a comfort level with me. Maybe seeing the value of what it's like for when we go on the road, and because he'll travel with us when we go on the road, and how other people react to the Kansas jersey, things like that.
What are your early thoughts on Brown for Sunday?
Well, what do they want? Is it 6 in a row? Something like that, and they beat Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is off to a great start. Coach has been there, I think, not as long as I've been here, but quite some time, and so obviously they have a good system in place, and I really believe that I don't know exactly where they were predicted in the preseason conference race, but they'll be a team that competes for a championship in their league.
After NC State, you talked about how important this week of practice would be, just how things gone so far.
I think we've had a good week. Last time I told you I thought we were getting better, we sucked. So I'm not gonna say that, but I will tell you this, I think we've had a good productive week, and attitudes have been terrific, and knock on wood, seem to be more healthy. And a lot of that's because of Shaq. I mean, he hasn't had any limitations.
And just with Shaq in particular, how do you see him fitting into a rotation that you're trying to nail down generally?
I actually see him being Juan's backup. Now, could we play without Juan or Shaq in the game? We could. I don't think that's the best lineup because he's the closest thing to a point that we have if we need somebody like Zeke playing off the ball some. So I see it becoming a little clearer if in fact you got, basically two guys sharing that spot, maybe play each other, maybe play together a little bit, but and then that kind of defines Zeke and Diggy's role a little bit more easily too. So I think having Shaq around and potentially, I'm not going to say he is, but potentially an elite perimeter defender and an elite athlete, I think helps us.
Couple of questions about the new Big 12 with 16 teams and 20 conference games. How does that change your preparation when you just look at the schedule and it's really haven't had anything quite like this?
That's probably a good question that I haven't given it as much thought as what I'd like. But looking at it, just as you just asked that, Dave, I would say I've got to become wiser in knowing that with no breaks in a 10-week season, basically, that I can't practice the guys the same way I have in the past. Juan, KJ, and Hunt need to probably rest more. It seems like to me that was one of our issues last year. I think we were a tired team, and that was only 18 games. And then injuries started happening, and that certainly, a tired team that's beat up isn't a good way to finish a season. And I think that we need to take those things in consideration and probably do a much smarter job of being efficient on how much we keep them on their feet.
As unofficial commissioner of the Big 12, when you look at what's ahead.
Are you, that's you?
No, that's you.
Oh, that's me,
That's you.
unofficial, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we gonna end up back with divisions? Would that maybe be a good thing for the conference on, now who you double up with, Iowa State, Colorado, K-State? Is there a best way to do it? Football, I'm not sure that was the perfect model as it went, who played who, and the imbalance of schedule.
You know what, with my present position, I don't have time to actually think about anything outside of my little short look ahead future as what someone that is what is it, not associate, but what type of commissioner am I?
Unofficial.
Unofficial commissioner needs to put some time in to see what would be best over time, whether it be a 5-year or a 10-year window, and that window's not going to affect me much. So I actually I don't think there's a right answer. We're playing 5 teams twice. Speaking just of basketball, next year, if I'm not mistaken, we play, 3 teams twice? Because we're going from 20 to 18. Is that what it is next year? And rotating those teams, I don't know what's best, but I would almost venture to guess that each team in our league will have one school that is determined to be the rival that they'll always play twice. And I assume ours will be K-State. And after that, I think it's going to be a rotational thing. But I also think this, I think television has a lot to do with that. And preseason rankings and things like that, that they want to get certain matchups. So I think the Big 12 will probably be very flexible to what TV wants, because the new television contracts are coming up in, 30 or 31 or whatever. Then we'll do whatever to make sure that's the most attractive thing to them. Like, to me, I have no idea. What are the chances Peterson and DeBonza play twice next year? I think there'll be some things done like that for television that I think our league would probably be open to if it meant being a better partner.
Bill, you talked about getting ready for this and surviving Brown to get into to league play. Inevitably, you've seen scores around the nation, Big 12 wise, coming in. Is there teams that have kind of grabbed you? Because we know now with portal and transfer, there could be big surprises. Teams that
In our league?
Yes.
Oh,
in our
yeah,
league.
I would say so. I think Cincinnati, I don't know their situation, but they're playing they've been playing without arguably their best returning player last year. And then you add Dylan Mitchell, that's obviously having a very good year. I think West Virginia, and probably a lot depends on DeVries, on his injury status or whatever, but with what Small is doing there, going in and averaging 20 a game, has certainly made that a different looking group. And I'll leave somebody out, so I certainly don't intend to. Texas Tech's gonna be has probably been considered to be a little bit of a pleasant surprise. I looked up, I think Utah's 8-2, which would probably be, I think that's right. BYU, who would have thought going this time last year that they have arguably a top 3 pick in the draft this year as a freshman. There's a lot of people, and Kevin is going to do a fabulous job there. There's a lot of folks that's better than what were projected, and there's been us included that's probably been average at this point. But you're still going to have, a situation where of the what is there, 16 teams? I venture to guess a minimum of 50% are NCAA tournament, probably closer to 10. That will allow our league to continue to be one of the most dominant leagues in America. Although there's no question which league's been the best so far, no question. But that doesn't mean that our league can't play to that level as well.
And then in regards to portal and NIL, you mentioned change is inevitable. We're into this a little bit. You have a strong voice in college basketball. Is there anything that you feel pretty strongly about or talk to peers about, maybe a direction that would be best for college basketball in regards to that?
My peers, my staff and myself, we have all the world's problems solved. But as far as other schools, we talk, but the bottom line is nobody knows. There could be some stuff come out here in the next few days that could certainly impact the landscape of college athletics far more than men's basketball. There's a lot of things going on. I would say this, from a men's basketball standpoint, I wish that we would start looking at it far more selfishly than we have. I wish we'd start looking at it as, hey, there's a lot of people within college athletics that's made decisions that's in the best interest of them. When are we going to start doing that for men's basketball? When are we going to put somebody in charge of men's basketball? Although we have leadership, and leadership is good in some ways. I'm not knocking that, but we're actually we're aligned with the NBA, where the NBA's vision on how college basketball impacts them is aligned because they want a better product. How do we help them get a better product, and how do they help us become a better product? I think there needs to be more of that. I think from a monetary standpoint, I think in many ways depending on where you're coming from. I think we've undervalued the brands in certain respects with college basketball compared to football. Football is the biggest brand, nobody's doubting that by any means, but I think there's a lot of things that can be done with our college basketball brand that could certainly impact it in a way that's a little bit different in how people view it now. And I think our commissioner's really trying to do that. I do, I think he's trying to do that, but the answers to those questions, Dave, is far bigger than my opinion or whatever, because I'm not on Capitol Hill. I'm not in Indianapolis. I don't understand the legal ramifications of what every lawsuit, whenever you make a rule that comes to pass, now impacts that rule in ways that we never intended, and now we have to change everything and start again. Because isn't that what's happened so far? We come up with all these ideas, which in theory are good. Well, if this happens, we got to totally change that. If that happens, this won't work. If this, I really feel like that we're chasing our tail in many ways. But I do think this strongly, that our college basketball product could be enhanced in ways that's more so than what it has been. And I think schools are actually trying to do that in many ways. We played a better schedule as a college basketball as a whole in November, December to try to have relevance before the football season is over. There's a lot of things that has transpired that's been positive, but we're playing on such an unlevel field. The field's never gonna level out again because of money, because NIL, because of what certain people can do through NIL legally and what certain schools can't do through NIL. It's never gonna be a balanced playing field except the way that it's been presented now. So if that's the case, how do we just maximize men's basketball or women's basketball? How do we look at it totally selfishly that this is best for us as opposed to trying to be a piece of a puzzle that doesn't necessarily take our best interest at heart? I don't have the answers, but I think those answers those questions are, I'm sure, being asked, but they need to be answered because our product is too good to be at 80% or 70%.
Real quick, you
Unofficial commissioner. Unofficial.
a hell of a statement.
Yeah.
You have the same core largely that you had last year, and I wondered this natural split, non-con to conference play. How much does it feel the same to you? How much does it feel different? What are you thinking about just the product of your team right now going into Big 12 play?
I would say, going into Big 12 play last year, I'm not sure that we weren't playing maybe a little bit better as a whole than we have so far. But I also thought at that time last year, Furphy was an unknown. Injuries were also an unknown. But this year, to me, there's more unknowns. How much can Shaq help us? How much can Rylan and AJ really play to their ability that fits in the way that we do it and really let loose and have a big second semester? The things I've always thought with transfers. Now, it's not always 100% true because Zeke would be the exception. I usually think it takes a semester to get guys acclimated to the point where they're really ready to react and not think and really be a huge asset to what you're trying to accomplish. And if that's the case, we're right on schedule. But there's unknown to know if that's the case. But I'm believing it is.
How's Flory progressed first semester?
I actually thought Flory was on a very, very dramatic incline. And then I thought in the time that coincides with our 2 losses and poor performances, I think that's been a plateau, which we got to understand. That happens with all freshmen. I think he's back on an uptick. But certainly we need Flory to be good. We need his activity level to be high. But the whole thing is, I think he's kind of gotten his way the last couple of weeks. And that's not being negative. I just think that he's kind of plateaued off, and we got to get him spiking again, because I don't want to play Hunter as many minutes as what I feel like we have to play.
Is Griffin healthy?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, Ryland's fine.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.